Hey everyone, how's it going? So you're running an errand with Kenny. I'm running a CVS. I got to pick up a script. I came down with the COVID, the Rona, earlier in the week, and I've been out for the entire week from work. It's been fun. Yay. Anyway, so I'm feeling better though. But so if you hear me sniffling and coughing and wheezing and everything else, you know why. But I wanted to share a fun story with you. I know I never told you this one before. Back in when I had my shop from '89 to '97, I was big into the 5-liter Mustangs. You guys know that. And my dad had a '82 Volvo 240 turbo wagon, and he had some severe oil leaks on it. So I had taken it to the shop to do some repairs on the oil leaks. So I'm looking at it and I realized, you know what, I'm gonna have to pull the engine on this thing. The oil leaks were so bad, it just didn't make sense to leave the engine in the car. I may as well pull it out. So now let me step back a little bit here. About a month prior to that, a local salvage yard who knew that I was into the 5-liter Mustang, somebody that worked there, called me up and said, hey, we got in this brand new Mustang LX hatchback that wrapped around a tree. It's got like 1,100 miles on it. I can get it to you for a song and a dance if you're interested. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I went down and actually looked at it, and I negotiated a price with them, and I think I paid $1,500 or $1,800 for the car, and it wrapped around a tree from the passenger side, and the car was pretty badly damaged, and I mean, it was not repairable. The A-pillar was bent into almost a console. If there was anybody in the passenger seat, or had there been anybody in the passenger seat, they wouldn't have made it. But it didn't appear that that the seatbelt had even been buckled, or that there was any evidence of anybody even being in that seat, luckily. So I wound up buying it, and I bought it mainly for the parts. It had 1,100 miles on it. It still had the factory original filter on it. And it was still, the original filters on those things were painted when the engine was painted. Like, they put the filter on and painted everything all in one shot. So anyway, I got that thing to the shop and I disassembled it, and I believe I had to cut part of the car apart just to get the engine out because the engine bay was so buckled and everything else. Luckily, it didn't break the transmission. It was an automatic car. I believe the drive shaft was bent though. So I had taken the engine transmission out and I had set it on the side. Now, where my garage doors were at the shop, it was a 2-bay shop. Between the 1-bay door and the wall was enough room that you could stick a V8 up against the wall lengthwise, and you had plenty of room. So I did that. I basically just stuck it there for storage. Now I had saved the computer, wiring harness, everything I could out of this car. And so when I had my dad's Volvo there, I decided to pull the engine out because of how bad the oil leaks were. So I pulled the engine out, and now I happened to be in the office, and as I walked out of the office, I could see the Volvo from the side shot. Okay, I could see it at the right front wheel, the hood. I don't remember if I had the hood off of it. I must have had the hood off of it. And the engine was up on the engine crane. And as I'm walking towards the car, from that angle, there was the 5-liter sitting there with the automatic transmission. And I'm looking, and I'm like, the dimensions lengthwise look to be about the same as that 4-cylinder from the Volvo, the turbo 4-cylinder. So I'm like, I wonder how difficult that would be to swap that in there, just, thinking as a joke. So I'm like, oh, the heck with it. I pulled the transmission out of the Volvo, hooked the engine crane up to the 5-liter, and I dropped it down in the engine bay. It fit like a glove. I was like, wow, this thing fits like it was meant to be here. I never pulled it back out. It stayed right there. So I made the engine mounts, I made the forward mounts on the engine itself fit the cradle of the Volvo. Like, I made all the bracketry and stuff in the vehicle. I made everything work. I wound up having to put a set of short tube headers on it because the right side header was crushed from the accident on that engine. And I did something a little differently. Like I may have started to say, I've seen a lot of these things lately getting LS swapped and stuff like that. Now, doing V8 swaps was not very uncommon, or not common, but not very uncommon either. People were doing it, but everybody was going the easy route and putting carburetors on it. I was like, you know what? I want to do this, but I want to keep it fuel injected. So I managed to wire in the factory Ford harness and made it to the Volvo harness, so everything worked from the Volvo like seamlessly. So you went in, you started it with the same key, everything worked, the gauges worked, everything worked the way it was supposed to. I actually impressed myself at the time. But I got everything working. The air conditioning worked, the power steering worked, everything worked, cruise control, you name it. Everything worked as it should. I had to remake the front cross member or support that holds the radiator and stuff like that. I had to remake that stuff, and I made it out of some tube steel. But I got everything together the way it should have, and the car worked out great. When I first got it up and running, had it, idling there, and as it revved it up, something was making a strange vibration. Couldn't figure out exactly what it was. And I remember my buddy Timmy was leaning over the hood, and those had, throttle cables. So he's sitting there going with the cable, and he's, or with the throttle linkage. Now, if you remember on the H05 liters, the throttle body and that was exited on the passenger side. So he's over there revving it up, and all of a sudden he revs it up to feel what that weird vibration is, and all of a sudden, kablang! The fan blew into pieces. So the fan must have been damaged from the accident, because I just stuck the original fan back on that engine, and I didn't have a shroud on it yet. But the thing came apart. Luckily he wasn't in the way, because that could have killed him. It was like, wow, it was, something you don't think of until it happens. So anyway, I wound up putting electric fans on it. Had everything working the way it should have. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. Everything was great. We're taking it for test runs up and down, in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And this thing had a 2.5 inch or 2 3/4 inch single exhaust with a single big Flowmaster in the back, where the Volvo muffler used to be. Single tailpipe, and it was quiet. It was quiet as a mouse. But man, tell you what, it ran great. And everybody who drove it was like, I cannot believe how good this car runs. Like, right? This thing runs fantastic. So I'm almost ready to give it back to my father. And my father had no idea I was doing this to his car. So we decided to take it down Central Avenue in Yonkers, which at the time, that was the big place for like street racing and stuff like that. So we're going down to Central Avenue, and I think we're on Central Avenue, as a matter of fact. I don't remember the names of the roads, because now we're going back, to 92, 93. So I happened to pull alongside what was at the time a brand new Corvette convertible. And of course, he's not paying any mind to me whatsoever. The car is not making any noise. It doesn't have a rumble, nothing to it. Like, you cannot discern that there's something going on with this Volvo. So as soon as that light turns green, I kind of jump it, like I basically treat him, if you know what I mean, and took off. And the guy, he's like, what the heck? And he kind of starts speeding up, and it's like, next thing you know, we're at like almost full throttle. And he's like a little bit behind me, because, he wasn't expecting this out of a Volvo. So we get to the traffic light, and I see him kind of looking over, like, that's a Volvo station wagon. I got a brand new Corvette. Like, what the heck just happened? Like, this makes no sense. And my buddy Timmy was with me, and we're just sitting there we wanted to laugh so bad. We just kept straight faces. And I was like, okay. That light turned green, and let me tell you, I just nailed it from the get-go. Just nailed it. And he had taken off, and he's like he didn't expect that. He tries to catch me. He can't catch me. So the next traffic light we get to, here he is like this. Like, he's ready to go. Like, I can't be embarrassed with my girlfriend in the car, my brand new Corvette and stuff like that. And light turns green, and he goes for it. And we are neck and neck. And we probably were exceeding the speed limit just by a little bit. We get to the next traffic light, all of a sudden, woo! Oh, great. So we got popped. So, pull over, and the officer walks up to the Volvo. He goes, license and registration? I was like, what did I do wrong, sir? And he just kind of looks at me. I was like, you were street racing back there. I'm like, but sir, I'm driving a Volvo. He's like, yeah, okay, nice try. He goes, I saw what you did. He goes, I don't know what you got under the hood of this thing. He goes, but it was pretty impressive. they wrote me a ticket, and they wrote him a ticket too. But yeah, it was for street racing, and that's a pretty hefty fine. So I was like, I was going to go to court and try to knock it down, or plead out or something like that. So I went to court, and amazingly enough, the police officer wasn't there. That's actually another story for another day, but the police officer wasn't there, so the ticket got squashed. But anyway, so I brought the car home to my dad, and my dad knew nothing about what I had done. He just wondered why it took 2 months to get his car back. So I go, and I get to the house, and he's like, "Oh, you're finally bringing my car back?" I'm like, "Yeah, I go take it for a ride." And he just kind of looks at me like, "What the hell did this idiot do to my car now?" So he goes in, he starts it up, and he just does one of these. He's kind of like, starts it up, and he goes, he just looks at me like, "You destroyed a perfectly reliable car." So he takes it for a ride. He comes back. He's got a grin on his face. He goes, "Yeah," he goes, "That's fun. That's fun." He drove that car every single day back and forth from Stormville, New York to Valhalla, New York, which is 50 miles one way. He drove it every day like that for well over a year. And he even said to me, he goes, "I can't believe that car actually gets better gas mileage now than it did with the Volvo 4-cylinder. He goes, "And it's so much more fun to drive because nobody expects that car to be as fast as it was." So, wound up taking that car to the track on several occasions, and I do have it on video. I don't know where. I'm pretty sure I still have it somewhere in a box. And you could see I had taken the right front high beam out because it had quad headlights. I'd taken the right front high beam out, and I made a cold air intake for it. Now, that was a mass air car, and I actually made a cold air intake that actually worked, because it wasn't sucking in hot air from under the hood. So I have on one of the videos where the car is going. Now, the car was pretty much a stock car, except for I put a 65 millimeter throttle body on it. I think I had to change the computer in it, if I'm not mistaken, because I think the computer was crushed in the accident, and I put a performance computer in it. And I did a few things like with the timing and some curves for the timing and stuff like that. But the car would run a consistent 1350, 1360, which is, at the time, you got to remember, was pretty dang good. That was pretty dang good that the car would run that. Very unsuspecting car, especially being fully optioned and everything else. So I have it on video where I'm going down the track, and I happen to be next to a Corvette. And you can hear the announcer saying, "Boy, that guy in the Corvette's got to be embarrassed by the Swedish muscle car." Yeah, Swedish muscle car driven by a Swede, because I am Swedish. So, but yeah, it was just kind of funny. By the time I got the car, at that point, I had put a set of Volvo donut spare front rims on it with Volkswagen Beetle, early Volkswagen Beetle 15-inch tires on it to keep narrow tires on the front for less rolling resistance. And I put a set of cheater slicks on the back on the factory Volvo rims. And it was a set of cheater slicks that I had for a Mustang. But I tell you what, they worked absolutely perfectly on that car. And I had actually welded the spider gears. This is later on. I had actually welded the spider gears on the thing to make it a locking rear end. And that thing would do hellacious burnouts. It really would. And my neighbor at my mom's house had a Ford Mustang, like an 83 or 84 Ford Mustang convertible. And the thing, I never really spoke to him. Him and I weren't any kind of friends or anything like that. And he had put a supercharger on it. It was a 302 carbureted. He put a supercharger on it. It was an automatic car, and the car was just a turd. It went nowhere. And I remember him being out in the street one day, and he was trying to do a burnout with it on my parents' street. Now, this is your Mayberry type, Huckleberry Road. And I went out there with the Volvo, and he knew nothing about the Volvo. I went out there with the Volvo after he was sitting there trying to do burnouts. And I went out there and I power braked it and engulfed the rear end in smoke. And I let go of the brake, and this car went sideways and left this beautiful, beautiful burnout, Posse's burnout up the road. And you could tell it was from slicks too. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. The slicks leave a very distinct burnout mark. And it was just this beautiful park up the road. And I see the neighbor as I'm going past his house with smoke billowing off the back end of the car. He's even going like this, watching a Volvo go by. And I come back around and I pull in the driveway, and he comes over and he goes, "What in the heck was that?" I popped open the hood and I showed him. I said, "That's a stock 5-liter, baby." And he's like, "I can't even get my Mustang to do that." I go, "That's from a Mustang." I said, "But that thing's stock. You got to have somebody tune your car because something's not right." Like, I never got to touch his car. He always acted like he knew more than me, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't remember what his name was. But I just thought that was funny. Unfortunately, that car, it could have lived on, but I think what happened was somebody needed an engine or something, and there was something else wrong with that car at the time, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to... Oh, I think the transmission started going out on it finally. And it was the original transmission. I had just put a shift kit in it. Oops, sorry for the haze. I had just put a shift kit in it. That's all I had done. And so since the transmission was going out on it, and I knew somebody that needed that engine, I decided to sell the engine out of it. And the car was not in that great a shape anyway. So I think all I did after that was I just scrapped it. But yeah, that was a fun car. And one of those ones that I wish I never got rid of. But anyway, that's it. So I thought that was a fun story to share. I thought you guys might enjoy that one. All right. Hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.